Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a really unique journey into something you've probably experienced firsthand, but maybe never actually stopped to deeply analyze. We're talking about the mind-fresh lo-fi mashup, specifically those incredibly popular, slowed-down, reverb-heavy compilations of Hindi romantic songs. You know the exact ones I'm talking about, right? You throw them on in the background to study, to decompress after a super long day, or honestly, just to drift off to sleep. But have you ever actually asked yourself why these specific lyrics, when they're slowed down like that, bring us such a profound sense of mental relaxation? Well, today we are going to explore the poetic architecture behind this calming effect. We'll unpack and translate the lyrics to figure out the exact mechanics of this musical tranquility. Okay, let's jump right in with a really famous lyric, Must Magan Man Must Magan, Bas Tera Naam Dohrai. Basically, the mind is intoxicated simply repeating your name. This right here is our hook, and it's essentially the foundation of why this mashup works so incredibly well for anxiety. Think about it. When our minds are racing with stress, work, or just everyday worries, they're completely fragmented. But this lyric, it presents a totally different alternative, a mind that's so completely absorbed, so beautifully intoxicated by the thought of love that it just operates on a single continuous loop. By listening to this repetitive, intensely devoted thought, our own overactive minds are almost given permission to just quiet down and anchor onto a single, comforting focus. So our first major theme here is Sufi devotion and love, and this whole concept of spiritual romance. What really sets these tracks apart from your standard pop songs is their cultural vocabulary. They elevate romantic love into this pure, almost overwhelming form of spiritual devotion. It's an ancient poetic tradition where the line between the human beloved and the divine completely blurs, and that creates a literal sanctuary of peace for the listener. For instance, in the mashup, the singer declares, "Main fakir tera qurbat ka," meaning, I am a fakir for your closeness. Now, a fakir is traditionally a spiritual ascetic who renounces all worldly possessions. By adopting this persona, the lyricist is stripping away all human ego, pride, and material anxiety. There's no worry about the future, no stress about status, just pure, relaxing devotion. It's incredibly freeing to listen to, mostly because it invites us to drop our own heavy baggage at the door.
Building right on that, we hit another critical term, jogi. A jogi is a wandering mystic, someone who is totally detached from society to seek ultimate union with the divine. When the song drops this word, it's prepping us for one of the most powerful and spiritually charged comparisons in the entire compilation. The lover isn't just a partner anymore. They are a seeker on a sacred, singular mission.
And wow, this next line just brilliantly illustrates that exact concept. Badrang mein satranga hai ishq, re jogi main aur ganga hai ishq. Love brings 7 colors to the colorless. O mystic, I am the seeker, and love is the river Ganges. It's such a beautiful metaphor. The beloved and the very act of loving are elevated to the purity of the Ganges, which is a sacred river known for washing away sins. So in the context of our Mind Fresh playlist, listening to this acts as a mental cleanse. It literally washes away our worldly stress and submerges us in this feeling of absolute sacred purity. So look at what happens when we pull these devotional themes together. A really clear pattern emerges, right? The lover expresses devotion by endlessly repeating a name, praying only for their partner, becoming a mystic, and surrendering their soul entirely. This complete surrender of the self is exactly what creates that deeply relaxing, anxiety-free state of mind we're all craving. When the self, along with all its exhausting worries, is completely surrendered to love, there is literally no room left for stress. Moving on to our second theme, metaphors of nature, specifically how the songs use colors and earthly elements. While that Sufi devotion totally strips the ego away, nature steps in to provide a vast, calming canvas for these super heavy emotions. The mashup continuously intertwines human feelings with the elements of the earth. Throughout these tracks, the beloved isn't just described with standard physical traits. Instead, we get lines like, Dup kinara tera hua main, I have become the sunny shore of your river. The lover is compared to a destination, a warm ray of sunshine, or a refreshing downpour. By grounding these overwhelming human feelings into peaceful, natural imagery, the songs subconsciously connect our minds right back to the comforting, rhythmic patterns of the natural world. Just listen to how beautiful this line is. Main teri rubai, tere hi to piche piche barsat aaye. I am your poem, and right behind you the rain has arrived. I mean, that perfectly captures the refreshing, life-giving quality of love. Just like rain nourishes the dry earth and brings this immense sense of relief and calm, the beloved brings relief to the singer. Imagine that slowed down lo-fi beat dropping right alongside this imagery of falling rain. It's an absolute recipe for instant relaxation.
Actually, let's quickly pause and define that word used in the last lyric, rubai. It's a classic four-line poem in Urdu and Persian literature. By calling themselves a rubai, the singer is viewing their very existence as this incomplete piece of art that is only brought to life, only given its true meaning and rhythm by the beloved's presence. It's just a beautifully structured way of saying, you complete my story. And this naturally leads us into a really vivid emotional contrast. The lyrics are constantly playing with the dullness of a life without love versus the vividness of being completely dyed in the beloved's colors. We hear about the badrang, that colorless, mundane, gray reality of our day-to-day lives being suddenly transformed into a satrana, a vibrant, seven-colored rainbow. This deliberate shift in the lyrics actively shifts our own mood, basically painting right over our gray, stressed-out thoughts with this vibrant, comforting warmth. All right, bringing us to section 3, the ache of inseparability, where pain actually meets comfort. Now, you might be sitting there wondering, wait, how does ache or pain belong in a chill relaxation playlist? Well, listen to this. Kaise jeeunga, kaise bata de mujhko tere bina. How will I live without you? Tell me, how will I survive? This is raw, unfiltered vulnerability. And what's absolutely fascinating here is that this intense fear of separation is exactly what makes the present moment of togetherness feel so incredibly sweet and safe to the listener. By expressing this ultimate fear of loss, the song validates our own deep-seated fears. It gives us space to process and release them within the safe, slowed-down bubble of a lo-fi track. These mashups lean heavily into this sort of emotional pendulum. We get the lyrical joy of finding a relationship that brings pure happiness, immediately contrasted with the agonizing, echoing questions of how to even survive apart. Honestly, it's this very tension, resolved by the soothing music, that acts like an emotional massage for your brain. It flexes those tight feelings of longing and then totally relaxes them into the comfort of the melody. Take a listen to this. Tu lage mujhe dushman si, kabhi lage dhadkan si. Sometimes you feel like an enemy, sometimes like a heartbeat. This brilliantly captures the sheer duality of love. The exact same person who brings ultimate peace to the lover can also be the source of some pretty intense emotional turmoil. Acknowledging this complexity is just deeply humanizing. It subtly tells the listener, hey, it's okay for things to be complicated. You can definitely still find rest right in the middle of the chaos. To counter all that anxiety about separation, the lyrics just flood you with promises of these unbreakable bonds. We hear vows of holding hands forever, building a completely private world where no one can steal the beloved away, and even waiting and watching the beloved's path for 100 lifetimes. Sa janam bhi dekhti main tera rasta. The absolute extremes the lover is willing to go to really reinforces this idea of enduring companionship. For a listener desperately seeking a mind-fresh state, this unwavering certainty is the absolute root of comfort. And finally, we hit section 4. The core message here, finding peace in surrender. Let's bring this whole thing full circle back to our main goal, achieving that promised, highly sought-after state of deep relaxation. The crucial point is summarized right here. True relaxation comes not from absolute silence, but from complete emotional surrender. Think about it. When we try to force our minds to just shut up and be quiet, we usually just create more anxiety. But the profound peace you find in these slowed-down songs stems from yielding totally to something bigger than ourselves. Whether that's love, spiritual devotion, or the sheer vastness of nature, it's all about letting go. I mean, check out this incredible poetic imagery from the track Ek tara tera, ek tara mera, baki andera. One star is yours, one is mine, the rest is just darkness. Out of a vast, overwhelming, dark universe, the mind only needs to focus on 2 tiny points of light, you and me. Love illuminates just enough of the dark to make us feel entirely safe, providing the ultimate comfort and rest for a weary traveler's mind. It just completely blocks out all the unnecessary noise of the world. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to chew on the next time you put on one of these lo-fi mashups. As the tempo slows down and that heavy reverb kicks in, ask yourself, does true mental peace only arrive when we finally surrender our worldly worries to an unbreakable bond? It certainly seems like, in the poetry of these songs,
Letting go of the entire world just to hold on to love is the ultimate breath of fresh air for the mind. Thanks so much for joining me on this lyrical journey today. Catch you next time.